buying and selling properties, navigating the market, investment strategies, and more. Unlock the secrets to our success in the real estate game.
What's up, y'all? We are back.
We are back. We are back. Like we never
We
left.
never went nowhere.
So we're back in this place. We are ready to talk with y'all again. I hope y'all had a wonderful whatever week it was, whatever life.
Yeah.
So we are back. It is Lindsay West here.
Tomekia Carter.
And Tristain O'Donnell.
What's up, guys?
Hey y'all.
Hey.
And we are all Atlanta local-based real estate agents. Doesn't mean we don't sell anywhere else. We do. So
We're global.
we're global.
clear.
Send that referral on by. Please reach out to us. Find us on Instagram, all those things. Today we're talking about a pretty cool topic. I'm really excited about this because we're discussing the unforeseen things that happen in a real estate transaction.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And a lot of times they can really derail things, right? But it doesn't mean that it's like never fixable. So we're going to talk about some of those things. We're going to talk about how even though we get derailed or delayed, it's not a denial, and how we can, push through, and things we can do to kind of take care of these things before they even happen, right?
Yeah, we want to give you guys the tools
Yes.
to help you navigate through these little hiccups
Yeah.
that you might think that are really big, but ultimately they really aren't. It's just navigating through them and negotiating on both sides, so we can all come to a meeting of the minds to get through this transaction and get it to the closing table.
That's always the
Typically a
goal.
solution for everything.
There's a solution.
There is. There are sometimes hard solutions, right? But there's a solution.
Right.
Yeah.
I like to think everything is figure outable.
Yeah.
So, if that's a word.
It is now.
Solution based, always.
Solution based.
Yeah.
Yes,
Solution-based.
solution
Okay.
based.
Yeah.
Okay. So, let's talk about setting the stage. And I think setting the stage means getting that mindset ready when you're getting ready to buy a house.
Yes.
The expectation, working with someone who's experienced and knowledge, and even if something comes up that's unfamiliar to all parties involved,
Sure.
it's just still finding the tunnel vision of getting through the end, right?
Yes.
So
There are some. When I meet with clients, we have consultation. We do all that stuff.
Right.
Yes.
I let them know if you have questions now, you're going to be like your ears are going to be perked to every little thing that you hear. So just ask me again. I'm willing to share all the information. And but one of the other important times and conversations that I have with my clients is when they get under contract.
yes.
And I explained to this, there's a roller coaster of emotions that's going to happen. You're going to be excited day one.
Yep, always.
You have this house under contract that you wanted, you won, like you got it. You're going to be watching HGTV and trying to plan everything. Then you're going to go to sleep that night. And then you may have a nightmare. And then you wake up the next day
'Cause
and
you can't
think
sleep.
like, I
Made a bad
am
decision.
making the worst mistake of my life. And that's normal. Everyone goes through it. So it's important to know that that's normal. And then once you get out of that, and I tell people, I'm like, call me if that happens. I'm not going to talk you in or out of anything.
Sure.
I'm just going to give you pros and cons and talk you through it.
Yes.
And let you see if you're still feeling that way. And then after that, then you go back to going to Target and trying to find everything and
Yes.
buying the curtains and
buy too
trying
much, though.
to
But don't buy too
decorate
much.
it out.
That
Yeah.
part.
Wait until you close that transaction.
So the roller coaster is absolutely real, and I don't
Yes.
know one person that hasn't gone through
Yeah.
it.
right.
Hell, we go through it from
yes.
our perspective,
I
right?
think we
Yes.
are the worst clients.
We are.
buying a house. By the way, I know I was a nightmare
Oh.
to the lender. That is,
Yeah.
was.
So she has all that experience. We're
Yes,
gonna get into
yes,
that.
yes, yes.
I mean, it's a bit of a situation. It's one of the biggest transactions you'll probably ever make in your life,
That's
right?
right.
Hopefully not
Sure.
the only time you do it.
Mhm.
But especially if it's your first time, and even when it's your second or third time, it's still
Yeah.
it's
Nerving.
a lot. It's nerving, right?
Things have changed after. I mean, you bought
have.
a year, 3 years
It's a
ago.
different
Now
world.
it's different.
It's a different
Yes.
world.
Yeah.
So setting the stage,
Mhm.
having conversation, communicating all the way through, and this is great for agents to just keep that line of communication open, and clients, keep your line of communication open. Don't shut down. Don't
Right.
become a hermit. Don't get in your head with all your feelings and not express these things, because
Right.
there's probably something that your agent or your loan officer can do
Right.
to help alleviate something, right?
Yeah.
All right.
I always say, like, no question is a stupid question. Like, just
Yeah.
ask me. I don't want you to be in your head. Like, this is what I'm here for, to help you navigate through these things that you got a little bit of a confusion about. Like,
Yeah.
let's just talk through it.
Yeah.
I tell my clients, I'm like your psychologist. Like you can just word diary out everything that you're thinking. That's fine, and I'll walk you through it.
Yeah.
But I also tell them like I'm like your attorney. You have to tell me
Everything.
everything,
Everything.
because I need to know how to go out there and
fight for
figure out
you.
what's important and what's not. So
Yeah. And
we
I
wear
can't.
many hats.
Yeah,
Yes,
we do.
we do.
We become
We do.
all the things. So yeah, so this is it's really communication, and it's really also like setting the expectation. So having a buyer's consultation, you should be having those with your agent. If you're not having a buyer's consultation or a seller's consultation with your agent before you list or before you buy a home, that is going to give you anxiety because you don't have an expectation. So we have to have those conversations up front
To set the
to
expectations.
set the stage, okay?
That's right.
Now let's get into the fun. I like to think of it as a fun ride. You know, it's a little bit of a roller coaster, but as long as you land on your feet, right?
That's right.
So, so let's talk about the unexpected things that come up. And I think let's start in the world of, do we want to start repairs?
Yeah.
Let's talk
Let's
about
do it.
repairs because those are the
That's the
first
first-
things.
yes.
The first
yes.
thing.
Yes,
The
that's the first
inspection
thing.
is the first thing, and then the ATAC comes back, and we have to discuss the repairs.
What's an ATAC?
What is
I'm
that?
asking.
'Cause
An
you over here
ATAC,
talking to
guys,
other
thank you,
people.
friend. It is
Using code.
an amendment to address concerns with the property.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's basically an amendment we turn in after your house has an
Get
inspection
inspected,
and you're asking the seller to fix some things. Okay.
make some repairs.
That's the short.
What
and
are we
skinny.
looking for, though, as agents? Like, what do you share with your clients regarding the ATAC?
Well, number one, I let them know, even if it's new construction, you get this inspection. New construction is 50 pages
Yep.
of
Right.
inspections. Like, don't be terrified by this. There's 50 pages. If it's new construction, it's 50 pages if it's a 1920s bungalow.
Right.
And there's always going to be something, and that's okay.
That's the inspector's job
yes.
to find something.
Yeah.
And understand, they say a light doesn't work if there's no light bulb, because they
Right.
don't know if it's a light bulb or not. So it's like those types of
Yes.
things I think will get in people's minds. Are like, well, the lights don't work and this
Oh,
and
the
this.
electricity
and
is
so, Yeah,
bad.
just
Yeah.
bring a light bulb with you. I bring a light bulb with me
Yes.
sometimes to inspections
Yes,
to
I
change
do.
it out. But
Or pull one from another room.
yeah,
Whatever you got to do.
yeah.
But what are we
Common
sharing with
things.
our
So
yeah,
things
common
that come up, I think that are unexpected repair. Because I think sometimes, like once we've had our buyer's consultation, we kind of talk about the things, right?
Yeah.
We do.
But I think like the things that really throw people off are like a sewer line issue.
Yeah.
You know,
ticket items.
big ticket items.
Yeah.
And you know, they automatically want to run, oh my God, there's the sewer line is not connected to the main or whatever the case is, or it's backed up,
Collapse in it or
or it's a
something.
collapse or whatever.
Big problem, easy solution.
Easy
Right.
solution.
Change out
Fix
the
it.
sewer line.
Change out the sewer line, or get the seller to give you money to change out the sewer
Yeah.
line, or get a sewer line home warranty if you're not
Yes.
sure. That has been clutch, you know. There's so many things. Like what else is there?
Structural, that always comes up. And
Yeah.
you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Structural comes up a lot.
Comes up.
Structural comes up.
The electrical. We talked.
Yeah.
about
We
talk
this
about the
before.
electrical.
Yeah,
And
Also-
the structural, people think it's like all things structural are a major thing.
Right.
I've always seen there's always something structural in there.
Right.
Not enough supports. Okay. It's not that the whole foundation has to be rebuilt.
Right.
It's just sometimes you need to put a 6x6 or an 8x8 and a concrete footer. It's not the end of the world. And that's like $300 a post. So you're not
Yes.
talking about $10,000-$20,000 worth
You're
of
not.
structural issues here.
Yeah.
It's rare that happens. Has it happened? Yes, but
Right.
Yeah.
it's very, very, very rare.
And when something like that happens, there's even a fix for that.
Yeah.
But even like
I find that most sellers too, they're like, oh, well, I do want to fix it, or I do want to give
Yes,
them money
sure.
for it. Like sellers are good people for the most part. Like
most
they're
part,
not trying
yeah.
to sell a shitty house.
lemon.
Right. Right.
Yes.
a lemon house.
A lemon house.
They're
right.
like, oh, I didn't know that. Like
Right.
I definitely
Yeah.
want to fix that and
Because
come to
some-
some agreement.
Right. Because sometimes things come back on the inspection report that they didn't even know about their
Right.
own.
Right,
Right.
right. And we have to give grace to that. Like,
Yes.
and then I think like one of the repair things that also come up too, we brushed on electrical,
Yes.
but electrical is something that's very nuanced, right? Because electrical in 2024 is different from electrical from 2023.
Yeah.
Right. And so even though the electrical may not be to the code today, doesn't mean that it wasn't once to
Right.
code and that
Right.
it's not working correctly. So like one of the things I think particularly are like aluminum wiring, or there was something
Knob and tube.
knob and tube
seen
or
some knob
something.
and tube.
And you know, some of these houses, especially in Georgia, we have a plethora of different ages or of houses, right? And so we have 100-plus-year-old homes, and so some of those homes are going to see that. Even townhomes, you're going to see things like that.
Yeah.
We should not see knob and tube though anymore.
Knob and tube, we should not see. We should not see knob and tube.
That
We'll
was
make
back
that
in the
clear.
real antiquated
That is
ages,
the
20s,
There's
the
where
30s.
antiquated is.
That's really when that is. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about like floors.
Okay.
How many times have you gone into a property with a client and they're walking the floor and they feel dips throughout the property?
Yep,
Right.
and they think that is
They
I learned
end
something
all be
new
all.
to share with you guys, and not something. It's something I've known, but I just got like a new awakening of it
Perspective.
in terms of like floors and structures and cracks and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
The engineer, I talked to him about an inspection that I just got, and he said if you have a stair step crack, which is it goes like this,
Yes.
a crack that moves
Yeah.
like this, and there's no deflection, so it's not
Pushing
coming
out.
out or going in, and you can rub your hand and it's smooth. That's normal settling. He said that. I mean, houses. It's
They
impossible.
settle.
Every house is going to
Right.
settle. 2024 houses built are going to settle in
Settle.
a couple years. Like that's
right.
just part of it.
Right.
But if you have deflection,
That's
if you
where it's
have
concerned.
horizontal, straight horizontal or vertical, and with deflection, then those are more. I mean, those are structural. You have to look at those. So
Yeah.
just a little tidbit there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think those are just. I think they're scary.
Yeah.
They sound scary because I think too, especially if you're a new home buyer or recent home, whatever, you are not aware of the fix of that.
Right.
And so I think like it just sounds like rawr, like
Yeah.
what do I do?
Right.
This is
And that's where we come
we
in.
come in.
And as a buyer and a seller, like sometimes those solutions just, the options are you can ask the seller to
Fix
make
it.
the repairs
Yes.
and then depending on the extent of those, have a reinspection done after to
Yes.
make sure it's done right.
Right.
Or you can ask for money in lieu of repairs. So maybe something costs $5,000. Seller's like, hey, we'll just give you $5,000 at the closing towards your closing costs in order
Yes.
to give you that money so that you can take care of it on your own and choose your own vendor
Yes.
and
Right.
someone you're
Exactly.
comfortable with. Or sometimes there's a combination of both.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
we're giving you money for this, but we'll fix this. So
Yes, yes.
there's always and I would say
always
that,
a solution.
Solution. So
There's
don't
always
be
a solution.
afraid
Yeah.
Yes.
basically of those repairs.
Yeah.
Right.
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 There's so many more.
There's so many more, and we can go down the list. Okay,
So
well,
many
just
more.
because for fun, like, what's one of the highest ticket items you guys have gotten fixed, just so they can understand, like the what's the word? Y'all help me. The range of
price
so
range?
the highest ticket item, so people can understand that sellers are willing to do things.
Right.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know what I
have
mean?
a deal now that I think we will probably have to ask for 20 to 25,000, but it's probably going to be the only thing that we ask for.
Yes.
And I think it's the sellers will agree. So when they had the HVAC, they renovated, they had the HVAC it was in the crawl space.
Yes.
And so in order to have enough space, they dug out the crawl space. But now when the inspection was done yesterday, there's actually a line on the HVAC showing that it's
Water is getting to the HVAC.
So, and they can't put it up in the attic because there's no space.
space.
It's a two-story house. So we're going to have to ask for it to be encapsulated or the money to encapsulate it to stop the water issues because you can't move the HVAC, right? That's one solution, but you can't do that. And the only other way is to get rid of the water. And so,
you gotta
having it
stop the water.
encapsulated, and we all know that's
Expensive.
expensive. Yeah.
And to do it right. Yeah.
So we'll follow back up. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure they'll agree to it.
yeah.
Yeah. Yo, I can't think of like a high ticket item that the seller has had to make repairs to.
Yeah.
The only thing that I can think of right off the rip is, we won't name names. The
Name names.
the six
Just
unit
kidding.
Yes.
recently,
Yes.
and it was because it was DSCR loan.
Yes.
Wait. I want you to save that one because that's financing. That's financing.
Okay,
yeah,
But that was a
yeah.
good one.
Yeah,
That wasn't
it's
a
really
repair
good
one.
Yeah, but
But
it was
that-
it was very costly
Oh yeah.
to the seller, like very
Very
we'll-
costly.
yeah.
I think for me, it would probably be like I think one seller did a whole new sewer line before closing and new electrical panel. So that is a lot, But
Yeah.
sellers, if they're motivated, if they
Yeah.
feel it in their spirit,
So what is
I
something
mean, the
like that
seller's
cost
option
you
is
guys?
you
Like
don't
said,
do it, and then you just don't sell your house. Like everyone's going to ask
because
for those
everyone
things.
is
They're
going to come back.
still gonna
Yeah,
come back,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
you may as well make the repairs to it. But something like that, like how much was?
Oh,
an
gosh. I think the
entire electrical panel.
electrical panel was probably like $6,000.
Oh,
And I want to say like the sewer line was probably like another like 5.
okay.
So, that was a lot. But, again, you would see that and you would think, oh my God, the seller won't do it. You never know. And you really just have to ask sometimes and see.
And you have conversations. I mean,
You have
everyone wants the
conversations.
same goal. The sellers want to sell, the buyers want to buy,
Buy.
the agents just want to help and make sure that that happens. So there's a lot of ego that happens during inspections and just attitude, and it's not necessary. Like we're all just trying to get to the same place.
Well,
Yep.
I'll say this. That happened to me with one of my own flips
Yeah.
where there was a septic tank in the back. I had no idea
yes, I
because,
remember.
It was on septic?
yeah, it was on
Okay.
septic. I had no idea until it came up and it hadn't been flushed.
Right.
And so I just, they thought it was going to be like 17,000 well, I got it down to like 6.
Yeah.
But I still,
But what are you gonna
still
do,
wanna make
not do
right.
it?
Yeah.
Like I didn't know
Yeah.
about it. Let's get it done.
Let's
Let's
clean
take care
it.
of it.
Yeah, let's take care
But
of it.
because the septic tank was where it was located, the first buyer didn't backed out because she wanted to put a pool in the backyard. But I kind of think, you still
Yeah.
could have gotten a pool back there. But things like that, when it
Yeah.
comes up as a seller, we're investors. We're still going to make it
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Make it right.
That's what the consumers need to know. We're going to make it right
Yeah.
yeah. In most cases.
in most cases. Yeah, within reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think all right, let's move on to the
Alright,
next
okay,
subject. I
that's
mean,
good.
there's a ton more. There's
Yeah.
a ton more. We can't even but we going to hold your hand through it, okay? Next thing, let's talk about the financing.
All right.
Yep, and I'm gonna let Tomekia rock and roll with that because there's
man.
so many things.
Ooh,
Oh,
there was so
financing.
many moving
That's an
parts with
episode
this
by
one.
itself, and we probably need to bring a lender on
Oh,
for
yeah.
that because we need to probably dissect that whole thing. But
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
let's talk about
Let's get into it, y'all.
some of the things that come up and
yeah.
yeah.
So this was recent. This was back in December. 6-unit unit complex, and we had gotten the inspection report back. My buyer was he was all over the place. Like he was nickel and diamond everything. Like but he got it. And he worked me. You know what I'm saying? He did. I got it for him, but at the end of the day when the appraisal came back, it came back at contract price. But because he was doing a DSCR loan,
What is that, Lindsay?
So the debt service credit
Credit
ratio
ratio.
loan,
you can't say that fast.
you can't. DSCR is basically a loan that you get when you are using the potential rental income to justify or to be the asset versus your credit or your own income, right? So they use the income coming in from the rental, the potential rental income to say that this house will qualify for a loan, basically, right? Short and skinny.
Yeah.
Everybody
short and
agrees?
sweet.
Okay.
Yes.
So go ahead.
All right. So again, it came back at around 850, but because again of the ratio, he could only purchase his property if they sold it for 700,000.
Did they do it?
They did. They met in the middle though.
Yeah.
It was a battle, and this guy
Wow.
had
Oh gosh.
how much can I say? This guy had $50,000 on
Earnest
the
money.
Oh,
on the
wow.
table. He
Yeah.
was out of his financing contingency.
Out of the
Out
appraisal.
of the appraisal. Like it was insane.
Yeah.
And so either you come to a meeting of the minds and then the seller just went ghost. He wouldn't say anything. The agent wouldn't say anything.
And there's $50,000 there.
$50,000
Yeah.
on the table.
I mean,
That's
the
a
seller
lot.
could go
That's a
ghost.
lot.
I would go
He could be
ghost.
out. He could be
I'd be
out
like,
and say,
okay.
I'm not selling my property for this.
to the island.
And then listen, I'm gone. I'm out of here. You give me $50,000 earnest money. We outside of appraisal and financing.
Yes. So we
Shoot.
had to talk to my buyer because at the end of the day, it did appraise for 850.
Right.
So you got to bring something to
Right.
the table
Yeah,
as well.
and you have some equity.
Yes,
Yeah.
tons of equity. They made it work. He ended up, meeting in the middle. Basically, they met in the middle. He didn't lose it because he was going to lose the 50,000 if he didn't move forward with it.
Regardless.
They structured it a different way.
Way.
The lender, again, we needed him to be here to explain how that worked.
Right.
But they made it work. But I mean, that was a tough transaction. It took 2 months before we got through it. Simply because there was so many moving parts. He was not a willing participant.
And neither was the seller.
Nobody
No, it was. Yeah,
Nobody was.
Yeah, that was probably one of the hardest transactions I've ever had.
Well,
This is not my transaction, and this is just kind of off a little bit. But somebody told me this story once about someone, they were buying a house, and they went to the closing. They had packed up their old house, buying the new house. Showed up at the closing with the moving truck and everything. Right before he or she walked into the closing, they quit their job. They called, said, "I quit." Quit their job. Well, that boss had done the verification of employment for the client. So he called the lender
And
and said, he no longer works here. What I signed is no longer accurate. And they didn't close.
Of course
They
not.
did not.
Why
So
would you-
yeah,
Don't quit your
just
job.
wait,
That's a
don't quit your job.
Yeah. But aren't
Yeah.
we saying this to our clients
Yeah, don't quit
already?
your
Okay.
job.
What on earth?
I mean, and some of this stuff you can't make up. This,
This is
case in
real.
point, or that. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I
Don't
think
quit your job.
you can't
Yeah.
change jobs. You can't
Can't
do none
buy
of that
big
stuff.
ticket items like
Yeah.
So financing is, again, it's all about the preparation, but some things in financing you just can't foresee, like a low appraisal for a DSCR loan, or that somebody's going to quit their job the day they walk into the closing table.
I had a client recently.
Go ahead.
She got a new job, right? She wanted the new job, but she was set to close like within 3 weeks. She said, "Can I quit my job and just transfer over?" I said, "Absolutely not." She said, "Well, the job's deadline for me to accept it exceeds the closing
closing
date,
date.
right?" I said, "I don't know what to tell you, but you cannot quit your job." She worked both jobs until she closed.
Nice.
Yeah, because she was working from home.
Yeah.
Oh,
So she just
wow.
had to figure it out until she closed.
Because the minute you quit that job,
It's
baby.
over.
Okay, so another thing that pops up in finance, and this is a little bit more light. Y'all came in with the heavy ones. Ooh, child, rocked my world already. It's early.
One time.
Armpits are
happens, it
sweating.
happens.
I'm a little stressed, okay? But something recently came up was sourcing funds, okay?
yeah.
And I think we talk about this in buyer consultations, like the money needs to stay in the account.
Yes.
Don't you move this money here from that account. Don't you ask your auntie to send you $2,500. Don't you do nothing
Don't move anything.
crazy with your money, okay?
So the rule is any deposit over $500 in your account requires an explanation. So if it's not like a direct deposit and it shows that, if it's like I gave you $2,500 for whatever reason, the bank is going to want an explanation and a paper trail of that.
Why?
Or they just exclude it. So if you have 10,000 in your account and I have 3,000 that I've given you, they're not going to give you credit for all 10. They're going to say, "Well, you have no explanation of this, so we
Where
can't
is it?
count it." So now in our mind, we see 10, we can only count 7
Three.
of it.
Yeah,
for
or
you.
7.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the remaining? So make sure you're not making Cash App deposits. Everything, just if you got to keep an account that is all your cash deposit
Yes,
ones.
that's
but
what
you
I
keep one
recommend
That is your
to
good,
my
this
client.
Is my like buying house
Account.
fund.
So and money has to sit in the account. It has to season is what the banks call it. So you can't just go open up a brand new account today and then send your earnest money from that account today,
ask you to
because
where that
they're
money
going to
came
want to
from.
know where that money came from.
have
Even
to
if you
source it.
transferred it from your savings account into that brand new account,
Now they
right?
wanna see
for the
all
house.
pages of
Now
this
they want to see the savings account. So now the savings account is linked. So it's very important that whatever account you're going to use for the house, give only that account to the lender and only use the money from that account for your earnest money, for your appraisal, for your inspections, the rest of the money for the down payment, what have you, closing costs should only come from that account. Because the minute you start introducing different accounts, they want everything. I think of underwriters as little gods, right? Little G. But they do think they have the big G. And that's the problem, right? So, you have to treat them as such a little bit, because they are the ultimate decision makers. And no, you can't get on the phone with no underwriter. No, you ain't about to get on there and beg them for nothing, because they not even going to
They're
talk.
invisible.
They're invisible. They are invisible.
They are.
They're omnipresent, but they're invisible.
Yeah. And the same goes for gifts.
Yeah.
If your family member is going to give you a gift, those
is the-
funds have to be sourced as well.
Yep.
You have to know what account it's coming from, and you have to provide
Yep.
proof of those
And-
funds.
And sometimes their accounts will be scrutinized.
Oh,
if they-
yes. If
you
they're
don't send
shaky.
it properly and you just
Right.
rush through it and don't know the process, then now they're gonna ask for your mom and your dad's
Bank
2 months
accounts,
bank
yep,
statements.
and they're going to be a thing, and also business accounts. So you have to be very particular, and this is again why you work with a trusted, experienced professional, but also listen and ask questions before you move,
I would say the
right?
best way to combat all of this, because there's other instances where someone is a W-2 employee, but now they've written off $10,000 worth of, they make $100,000 a year, but they've written off $10,000 in uniforms or whatever. Just, people do that.
Yeah.
And
Well, now you
then
make
don't
90,000.
qualify. Yes,
Yeah.
that counts. The only way to really combat this, and I would say 99% of lenders can do this, is get pre-underwritten. You can get a pre-approval A pre-qualification, that's just like looking at everything, but you can get an underwriter pre-approval where it's already been submitted with a
Scrutinize.
TBD property, and so you're ready to go.
And yeah, you
Yes.
pretty much probably have a commitment letter which
Yeah,
says that,
absolutely.
hey,
Stronger.
you're
Always.
a stronger buyer, and that you qualify for this house 100%. The only thing they're waiting on is the house, is the contract
Yeah.
from the the transaction. So, yes, that is a way to combat that. Is the other way to combat that is to ask questions, is to listen, call for everything. There's
Ask
not too many.
everything.
Ask
Yes,
everything.
yes.
There's nothing that is a dumb question during this process. Ask for everything.
During your
Okay.
buyer's consultation, bring your questions.
Bring your
Yeah.
questions, and we're gonna prep you. So listen, you gotta listen. All right, so let's talk about another thing that comes up is legal documentation and stuff,
Yeah.
and that's a whole nother world, right? And we need a closing attorney for this,
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
but we'll get one soon, y'all. We'll get one soon. Don't
We'll
you
have it.
worry.
Yes.
So, legal things that can come up in the transaction, closing things, right? Title issues, and
It's one of the biggest ones.
the
right,
biggest thing is
title
title
issues.
issues.
Yeah.
There can be so many things going on with title that we can't even imagine.
Yeah.
It's just unimaginable. So don't even try. You can't.
We don't know.
You gonna need Jesus, okay? I don't know what deity you believe in, but I'm gonna call on the Lord because you're gonna need them during that part. However, one of the things I can think about out the gate is a clouded title, or title that is
Cloudy.
Cloudy.
murky.
One of my builders, he had bought a property. One of his contractors, or maybe somebody had also had a contract on the property. So they filed a claim, and he had already built. We were going to sell. It was new construction, but somebody else had tried to buy it before. Things weren't done properly, so they were able to put a lien on the property. It has nothing to do with my builder.
Sure.
And so we were trying to close, and all of a sudden they're like, well, you have to pay this mechanic's lien. And now this person that's holding it knows they have all the everything in their hand.
They
And
cannot do anything
and
with this
was,
house,
well, hey,
yeah.
what's the pay? And so now you're like, okay, how much do we have to pay you for this? And they have to provide the payoff. So, and then they have to sign a deed. So we had come to an agreement on a price, but before it was paid, somebody had to meet him. Then he started ghosting us. And then
Wow.
I ended up sitting at Starbucks for like 3 hours
remember
waiting. Do you
this?
remember this?
Yes.
I was sitting at Starbucks for like 3 hours because he was supposed to come meet me to sign the deed, and then they were going to wire him the money, and nobody else could do it. And the closing was like, we had already pushed it to the next day. Anyway, it got resolved. Attorneys are amazing. There's always a solution. There's title insurance to help you combat title issues, but it's just one of those things, and you end up sitting in at a Starbucks
waiting,
for 2
yeah.
hours
Waiting.
in your car.
Did he ever
I mean,
show up?
He never showed up, and what happened is, while we were working on that, the closing attorney was going to the title insurance companies, and they were trying to get, what's the proper way to insure this? And so him being greedy and not coming, and we told him 5, he was like 10, it was some ridiculous amount. So he was being greedy, and they figured it all out. I mean, nothing illegal, just properly figured it out with title and the chain and everything. And we closed, and he got nothing.
Oh, wow. See,
He
that's
was being
what,
greedy.
that's what happens.
And we were like, we'll give you
don't
this
like
right
ugly.
now if you just sign and meet us. And he was like,
What
okay.
was the ransom?
And then he ghosted.
What was the
The
ransom?
ransom was well, I thought he was going to hold me for I thought being there.
At the
that I was
Starbucks.
yes, I was like, I'm
With a
about
white
to
mocha
get
in
that.
hand.
Yes.
They
But
started
it
throwing
was
out
I think,
random numbers.
I think it we were offering him 25, he wanted 5, or maybe we offered 5 and he wanted 10. It was some
Wow.
ridiculous
Wait,
amount.
25,000?
He had never done anything. He never owned the property.
Are you saying
just-
25,000?
100.
Okay,
Okay.
25.
I need to know.
But
I need
he
to know what
ended
kind
up
of
getting
ransom I
nothing.
could hold.
He
You know
ended
what
up
I'm
Wow.
saying?
So
don't
title
like
issues,
ugly.
but the attorneys are there. and
Yes.
they-
Attorneys are responsible
Yeah.
for that.
Let's
And
talk
always get
about
title
our
insurance. Oh my
transaction.
gosh.
Oh gosh, and me and Tristan have whenever we get together,
It's
our
always
it's
oh,
always a
we won't
situation, but in
even.
the best way, because I mean
Yeah.
we're
learn-
team, we're supporting the goal.
Figuring out, we are sitting there how
Like,
do we resolve
how can
this?
we
There's
fix
always
this?
a solution.
And so let's talk about the AKA.
So I was representing the seller. Lindsay had the buyer, and all of a sudden, 2 days before closing, the attorney is like, "There's somebody else on title," and we're like, "Wait, what? No, I sold my client the house. I know there's
right.
nobody else on it," and it came out that my client had filed an AKA, and also known as 2 days before we were supposed to close.
Wow.
So then I'm like, is she going into witness protection?
It didn't tell us.
What is happening? I literally sat up thinking like all the things like, and I didn't want to ask her. It's not necessarily my business. It's
Right.
my business to
Get the
find
deal
a solution
closed,
and
yeah.
get it closed and not, she did it for a reason. And I don't need to know that. I just
Yes.
need to know
How
how
can
to
we
resolve
get
it
it?
and get through it. So we did. I mean, she just had to, we had to do an amendment with the AKA person. Then they had to repull title on the AKA person. She's still around. She did not go into witness.
What is the
that-
AKA, guys? Who is she
It's
also,
known as.
We don't
I
even
I
know. We don't even know,
wrote
honey.
the amendment, and then she signed it. Everyone signed it, and the AKA,
She did it
the
privately.
attorney
with the
put the
attorney.
AKA in there so that it was still private. So
No one saw it.
We didn't see it.
No.
We were out of the loop.
Yeah.
And that was the same deal that also had a cloudy title.
Oh God.
Because this is all like
did.
this took like 2-3 months to
Yeah.
close.
Oh, I
It was
remember
crazy.
that.
It had like a lot and a
It
half.
had a lot and a half.
Yeah.
The parcel number was incorrect.
The attorney said the ADU was halfway on somebody else's property.
I
But
remember that.
So we
knew
had to get
that
a
we
survey.
survey.
Wow.
Oh, it
Like
was a
3 weeks, and
situation.
Surveys aren't quick.
I remember.
Surveys
Yeah.
are not quick.
We
so
went through everything.
I mean, the closing attorney actually had to go down to the city
Yes.
to
Oh, that's
get
right.
the people to move on this process
Yeah.
because there
it
it was
had
just
to be refiled.
it had to be
properly
refiled.
before they could close.
So the head of the law firm owner had to go down to the city and
Yeah.
get them to move.
So that
Like
and
it
the
was
AKA, there
such,
was other. I'm sure
there was so
something
much
else.
What were you
crap.
guys using? Can you share that?
The title company?
Yeah.
I think we can.
No, I don't think we should.
Okay.
No worries.
We won't.
I don't know
Okay.
for what reason,
Yeah.
but just because.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
we won't.
Yeah.
We won't.
Yeah.
I mean, she did
Compliance.
great, and
She
we
did-
will give shout out.
We
and
will give
something
shout
else
out,
because
but
she was an
we
amazing
yeah,
attorney.
but there's too
And
much
problem
tied to that
solver,
one.
problem
You're right.
solver.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So those are
We
title-
needed drinks after that.
the-
transaction.
oh, we did, and we
Yeah.
still yeah.
I
Okay,
think we met in between it for drinks one night.
I think
Anyway.
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, there's a lot of situations where you need a drink after.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot.
A lot.
Did Rick just give us the time thing?
He
Like,
did.
what?
He just and he did it so like
All right, guys.
Wrap it up, B.
wrap it up. Okay.
Okay. There's only-
So at the end of the day, there's a ton of things. If you have a crazy transaction that went awry, please put it in the DMs.
Oh yes.
in the
Yeah.
comments.
Yes.
I want to know
We
about
wanna
it.
read
In
those
the
out.
chat.
I
Like, we
love.
just-
I mean, I want to get my
DM,
real
wheelhouse
estate
built up.
stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when this crap happens, because real estate is literally there's so much you cannot be
Yeah.
prepared for,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
But there's a lot that you can be prepared for.
Mhm.
However, like don't judge your agent too if you feel like they just like they didn't because they might be what's
Yeah, the
taken back
background.
as well.
right.
they might be taken back, and
Mhm.
so again, shoot us in the comments in the DMs.
Our next
anything.
episode should be about like funny, crazy things that have happened.
Yeah,
'Cause those
yeah.
are
Yes,
funny.
those
Yeah,
there's
we got some funny
and there's
ones.
so much crazy stuff, like me selling a car. Like,
Oh, that's right. That's right.
okay, so in the DMs, in the comments, hit us up, let us know. Thank you so much for watching
Thank you
today's
so much.
episode. We really
Don't forget to like, subscribe, comments,
share all the
social
things.
media, follow.
So we'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for
Thank you,
joining
guys.
us. Have
All
a
right.
great day.
Bye.
Peace.